My dear friends, thank you for being here with me today. I want to share something with you that might completely change the way you think about your life. What if I told you, right here, right now, that worry doesn't actually exist? That all this fear you carry about tomorrow, about next week, about what might happen, it's simply your mind playing tricks on you? Now, some of you might remember that song by Bobby McFerrin, Don't Worry, Be Happy, yes? Many of you are smiling. It seemed like just a feel-good tune, something catchy to hum along to. But I'm going to tell you something. That simple song touches on a profound truth that we've been teaching in Buddhism for over 2,000 years. So today, here in this space together, I want to show you why worry is nothing but an illusion. I want to show you how the present moment, this very moment we're sharing, is all you truly need. And I want to show you how to find more peace, more lightness, and yes, more happiness. Will you stay with me on this journey? Because what we're about to explore together could transform everything. Let me start by asking you something. How many of you have lain awake at night, eyes wide open, mind racing? Yes, I see many hands, many nods. You're replaying conversations in your head, aren't you? Imagining the worst scenarios, trying to plan every single detail of a future you cannot control. Am I right? We've all been taught that this is normal, that worrying means we're responsible people, that it shows we care. But I'm here today to tell you something that might surprise you. This belief itself is the problem. In Buddhism, I don't see worry as something useful. I see it as what we call dukkha, suffering, dissatisfaction. But listen carefully to what I'm about to say. It's self-created suffering. It doesn't come from what's happening right now in this room in your life. It comes from what might happen later. You see, worry lives in the future, and when we worry, we pull ourselves completely away from the only moment that actually exists, this one right here with me. The Buddha taught us something very clear. The present is the only place where life truly happens. Everything else, my friends, that's just imagination. That's your mind creating stories. Now, from where I sit, having practiced these teachings for many years, I can tell you, worry isn't just uncomfortable, it's deeply misleading. It creates this false sense of control. You tell yourselves, and I've done this too, if I just think hard enough, plan enough, anticipate every possible problem, then I'll be safe. But look at me, this is an illusion. We have a core teaching about anicca, impermanence. Everything is always changing. This room, your body, your situation, everything is shifting, moving. No matter how much you prepare, life will surprise you. I've lived long enough to promise you this is true, and you know where worry really comes from. It comes from attachment, upadana in our language. You're clinging to outcomes. You want things to go a certain way. You're holding on to people, to situations, gripping them tightly, and watch what happens. The tighter you grip, the more your fear grows. You're afraid of losing what you have or not getting what you want. That fear, that's what feeds your worry. That's what keeps your mind racing through the night. Now, let me be very clear, because I don't want you to misunderstand. I'm not saying don't care about things. Care deeply. What I'm saying is don't cling. Don't strangle the things you love with your need to control them. Because clinging creates dependency, and dependency fuels all that anxiety you're feeling. Let me share a story the Buddha told. Imagine someone walking through a forest and suddenly an arrow strikes them. That hurts, yes? That arrow is real, it's painful. But then, instead of treating the wound, what do? They pick up another arrow and shoot themselves again. That second arrow, that's worry, that's what we do to ourselves. Every time we relive pain in our minds, every time we imagine new dangers, every time we obsess over things we cannot control, we're shooting ourselves with that second arrow. The first arrow is life happening. The second arrow is our reaction to life. And here's the liberating truth. While you cannot always avoid the first arrow, the second one, that one is your choice. Look at me. This is the most liberating part, and I need you to really hear this. If worry is something you create, and it is, then you can also uncreate it. Through mindfulness, through what we call sati, you begin to observe your own mind. You start noticing thoughts coming and going, like clouds drifting across the sky outside that window there. You stop believing you are those thoughts. You see clearly, calmly, that worry is not who you are. It's something you're experiencing. And anything you can observe, you can release. When I sit in meditation and worry appears, and yes, it still appears for me too, I don't fight it. I simply notice it. I say quietly, "Ah, worry, there you are," and then I breathe, and then I let it pass. In that very moment, I'm reclaiming my peace, not by fixing some imaginary future, but by coming back to now, right now. So let me answer the question I asked at the beginning. What is worry? It's a habit of an untrained mind. It's a product of fear, clinging, and ignorance. And I promise you, sitting here today, it is absolutely possible to live without it. Not by pretending your problems don't exist, but by seeing through the illusion that worry solves anything. The more you train your mind to stay present, the more you'll discover that this moment, the one we're in together right now, is not only enough, it's all you ever truly have. Let me tell you something about your mind. It's a storyteller. Every single day, from the moment you wake up, it's spinning narratives. This is who I am. This is what I need. This is what might happen. This is what I should fear. And you know what? Most of the time you believe every word, don't you? I can see it in your faces. But through my years of practice, I've learned that the mind, when we don't train it, becomes a trap, a source of confusion, fear, and endless suffering. And worry? This is one of the clearest examples I can show you. Think about it with me for a moment. Did any of you wake up this morning and say, "Today I choose to worry"? No? No one? Of course not. It just happens. One thought leads to another, and suddenly you're 10 steps ahead, living in a future that doesn't even exist yet, feeling emotions about situations that haven't occurred. We call this samsara, the endless cycle of suffering caused by craving, aversion, and ignorance. And worry sits right at the center of that wheel, spinning you around and around. Now here's the thing. The problem isn't that you have thoughts. Thoughts are natural. The problem is that you identify with them. You believe everything your mind tells you. Your mind says, something bad is going to happen, and you tense up immediately. Your mind says, you're not good enough, and you shrink. But I want you to hear this truth. Thoughts are just thoughts. They are not reality. They're temporary mental events shaped by your past, your conditioning, your fears, yet they shape your entire experience of life. In our practice, we have something powerful called vipassana. It means clear seeing. It's about looking directly at the nature of your thoughts and emotions without judgment. When you practice this with me, you start to see, really see, how quickly your mind reacts to discomfort, how it tries to escape the present by jumping to the past or leaping to the future. You see how thoughts create stories, and those stories create your suffering. Let me give you a simple example, one I'm sure many of you will recognize. You're waiting for an important message from someone. Maybe it's your boss, maybe it's someone you care about. An hour passes, no reply. What happens in your mind? Come on, you know. Maybe they're angry with me. Maybe I said something wrong. Maybe something terrible has happened to them. But look, in reality, nothing has happened. Nothing. But your body doesn't know that. Your body is already tense, anxious, upset. Your heart is racing, all because of a thought. Can you see it? That's the trap I'm talking about. So what do I teach? To escape this trap, you don't fight your mind. You don't battle with it. You observe it. You create space between the thought and your reaction to it. When worry arises, you don't have to follow it down the rabbit hole. You can see it, acknowledge it. Oh, there's worry. And let it pass by. That's where your freedom begins. The Buddha gave us this beautiful comparison. He said the untrained mind is like a wild elephant. Strong, powerful, but without discipline, it causes chaos, destroys everything in its path. Through meditation, through mindfulness, through how we live our lives, we begin to tame that elephant. We start to guide our minds instead of being dragged behind them. And here's something beautiful I've discovered over the years. When you stop identifying with your thoughts, your suffering begins to dissolve. You don't need to fix every problem. You don't need to control every outcome or plan every tiny detail. You just need to be aware, moment by moment. In that awareness, worry has no power. It only survives when you're not paying attention. So yes, the mind can be a trap, but, and this is important, it can also be your path to complete liberation if you learn to use it wisely. Now, I want to do something with all of you right now together. Will you do this with me? Take a moment, just pause. If you're comfortable, close your eyes. Take a slow breath in and out. That breath you just took, that's your anchor. That's the present moment. And I want you to understand something. It's always here, always available to you, no matter where your mind tries to drag you. Open your eyes and look at me. How do most of us actually live our lives? Be honest. You're sitting here in this room with me, but are you really here? Your body is in this chair, yes, but your mind, where is your mind right now? Is it thinking about the email you need to send, the mistake you made yesterday, the deadline coming tomorrow, the difficult conversation you're avoiding? This is how we live. Our thoughts jump ahead, constantly trying to prepare for the worst. And while all of that is happening, you're missing what's actually real. This moment, me speaking to you, the sound of my voice, the feeling of the chair beneath you. This is what's real. I teach something very simple but very powerful. Suffering happens when you leave the present moment, when you resist what's here, when you wish things were different. And anxiety is simply your signal that you're living in a future that doesn't exist yet. You're arguing with life before it even happens. But what if you could stop doing that? What if you could train yourself gently, kindly, to stay here? Not forever. I'm not asking for forever, just for one breath, one step, one moment at a time. This is mindfulness. And no, it's not just sitting cross-legged for 20 minutes with your eyes closed. Mindfulness is much simpler than that. It's noticing. It's being fully awake to your life. When you eat your meal, you actually taste it. When you walk, you feel your feet touching the ground. When someone speaks to you, you really listen. You don't just wait for your turn to talk. You don't judge. You don't analyze. You're just here, fully. And I can tell you from my own experience, something amazing happens when you start living this way. The noise in your head begins to soften. That pressure in your chest starts to loosen. You stop creating horror stories about what could go wrong. You stop building mountains out of little thoughts. You stop making yourself sick with possibilities, and instead you find presence. You find peace. Now some of you are thinking, I can see it in your faces, but Tenzin, how can I stay present when life is so uncertain? When there's so much I need to do, so much that could go wrong? My answer to you is this: you don't stay present by controlling life. You stay present by trusting it. Being present doesn't mean everything is perfect. It means you're strong enough to stay with what is instead of running from what might be. And let me tell you something most people never realize. When you're truly present, you actually make better decisions. You see more clearly. You respond instead of just reacting. You breathe instead of panic. That small space between a thought and your action, that's where your real power lives. That's where your freedom is born. You don't have to be prisoners of your minds. You can train yourselves to come back again and again. No guilt about wandering off, no rushing, just gently returning to the breath, to the body, to this moment. Because the truth, and I need you to really take this in, the truth is that this moment is the only place where happiness can actually live. Not in yesterday's memories, not in tomorrow's dreams, just here, right here. And in this quiet, ordinary moment, you'll find everything you've been searching for. So let me give you something practical. Next time your thoughts start spinning out of control, when your heart starts racing, when your mind starts building its tower of what-ifs, here's what you do. Pause. Just stop. Place your hand on your chest like this. Take one breath. Smile, even if it's just a tiny smile, and say to yourself, I'm here, I'm safe, I'm enough. That, my friends, is the real antidote to anxiety. Not control, not perfection, just presence, just being here now. Now we come to something difficult, letting go. It sounds simple when I say it, doesn't it? Just let go. But if you've ever tried it, you know it's one of the hardest things a human being can do. Why? Because deep down, and be honest with yourselves, most of us carry this quiet, persistent fear that if we let go, everything will fall apart, that if we stop worrying, we'll lose control, that if we stop trying so hard, something bad will definitely happen. So what do? We hold on tighter and tighter to our plans, to our expectations, to people, to outcomes. We grip them until our knuckles are white, thinking this will keep us safe. But I'm standing here today to teach you something radical. The more you hold on, the more you suffer. This is not philosophy, this is truth. Trusting life, really trusting it, is not about pretending everything is fine when it's not. It's about realizing that control was never the answer. All that worrying, all that overthinking, all that desperate need to plan every tiny detail, it wasn't protecting you. It was exhausting you. It was draining your life force. Here's what nobody tells us when we're growing up. Life was never meant to be controlled. It was meant to be lived fully, openly, moment by moment. Look, let me show you something. Think about nature for a moment. Does a tree worry about losing its leaves? Does it panic when autumn comes? Number. Does a river worry when the current changes direction? Number. Does a bird doubt whether the wind will carry it? Of course not. There's trust built into the natural world, a deep, quiet trust in the flow of things. And here's what I want you to remember. You are not separate from that flow. You are nature. You are life happening right now. When you fight that, you suffer. When you resist, you contract, you tighten. But when you trust, you open, you expand. You've felt this before, haven't you? Those rare moments when everything was uncertain, but somehow you were calm. Maybe during a crisis, maybe during a big change, maybe when you finally threw your hands up and said, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'll deal with it when it comes. That's trust. That's the art of letting go. And isn't it strange? In those moments you felt most alive. But to get there, you have to confront some very old habits. You have to unlearn some deeply embedded beliefs. That worrying means you care. That planning everything means you're responsible. That being in control means you're strong. The Buddha didn't teach us to run away from life. He taught us to embrace it exactly as it is, with all its chaos, all its beauty, all its unpredictability. He taught us about anicca, impermanence, that nothing lasts forever, not pain, not pleasure, not this moment, not the next. When you truly see this, not just understand it intellectually, but see it, live it, experience it, something shifts inside you. You start holding things more lightly. You stop trying to grip every outcome. You begin to understand that peace doesn't come from certainty. It comes from presence. It comes from surrender. Now, when I say surrender, I don't mean giving up. Listen carefully. Surrender means giving in, not to defeat, but to wisdom. It's saying, I will do my very best, but I will not destroy my inner peace trying to control what I cannot control. It's knowing that life is bigger than you, and that's not scary, that's beautiful. Because when you stop trying to be the manager of the entire universe, you become a participant in it. You start to trust that you're being carried even when you can't see where you're going. And this is where I've found the deepest freedom in my own practice, in releasing the illusion of control, not just once, not in one dramatic moment of enlightenment, but again and again, every day, every breath, every time fear shows up at your door and says, you're not safe unless you control everything, and you respond, no, I choose to trust instead. Trust in the unfolding of your life. Trust that what's meant for you will find you. Trust that you'll know what to do when the time comes. And if you don't know, trust that not knowing is also part of your path. That's okay too. This kind of trust isn't passive. It's not about being lazy or irresponsible. It's deeply alive. It moves you to act when action is needed, and to rest when rest is right. It's about being aligned with life itself. It's about learning to listen to your body, your breath, your deepest intuition. It's about letting go, not because you've given up, but because you're finally waking up. So how do we begin? Let me give you something practical. Start small. Today, tomorrow, notice when you're trying to control something. Feel the tension in your body. Notice the tightness in your thoughts. Just notice it. Then pause. Breathe. Ask yourself this simple question. What am I afraid will happen if I let go just a little bit? Then, and this is the important part, let go a little bit and see what happens. Maybe the world doesn't fall apart. Maybe instead something beautiful happens. Maybe you feel lighter, more open, more free. With time, you'll begin to see that letting go isn't the end of anything. It's the beginning. It's the beginning of a new relationship with life, one that isn't based on fear, but on trust. One that says, whatever comes, I can meet it. Not with panic, but with presence. Not with resistance, but with grace. This is what I'm offering you today on the Buddhist path. Stop clinging, start trusting, let life be life, and let yourself be free. My dear friends, maybe Bobby McFerrin understood something deeper than most of us realized. Don't worry, be happy. It's not just a catchy tune you hum in the shower. It's a doorway into a powerful truth that we've been teaching in Buddhism for over 2,000 years. Worry doesn't protect you. It doesn't prepare you for anything. It only disconnects you from the one thing that's actually real, this moment. And in this moment right now, there is peace. There is your breath. There is life itself. So I invite you, let's stop giving our precious energy to things that haven't happened. Let's stop letting our minds drag us to places our hearts were never meant to go. The path I walk, the path of Buddhism, is not about escaping the world. It's about waking up to it, with clarity, with compassion, with trust. If what I've shared with you today has touched your heart, if it's made you pause and think differently about your life, then you're already on the path. You're already walking it. Keep walking with me. Keep exploring these teachings. May you find peace in this very moment. May you let go of everything that weighs you down, and may you discover the freedom that's been waiting for you all along, right here, right now. Thank you for being here with me today. Thank you for listening with open hearts.